Okay. Cool. Yeah, sorry it took me a little bit to get ready. Things are still going a little bit weird. Not as weird as it's been, but it's like, it's a... Oh, okay, it's a moderately weird day. Okay, but I think we're good. Well, in a bit we might be, but not right now. Be mysterious, just to make sure we're all actually live and everything. It takes a bit for it to tell me that I'm actually live, so I like that. A little bit of time here. I think we're good. Seem to be. It's hard to tell. It's always hard to tell. I don't know. Hi. What I was alluding to a little bit earlier doesn't apply to you much, but if well, I got a couple guys or one guy flustered, but I'm okay. AC. We're gonna get an AC, or we're gonna figure out if that's gonna be cool or not. So we have a guy. He might be coming back. So if you see him, if you hear any background noise, that'll be that. So I'm not alone. So that's just what I'm saying. Like, things get really weird a little bit later. That might be why, or maybe not. It'll be okay. All right, there you guys are. Filling up the chat there. Okay. So we're gonna probably jump right into this, but yeah, I just wanted to say that if it's even gonna be a problem, I don't know. I take these little problems like these as bigger than they are. So anyway, how we doing? So I always get so nervous. Yeah, so because I've always had stage fright and everything, so it's like trying to do these on a weekly basis just to get over it has been helping me. So thanks guys for always being monetarily nice to me. It's been really great. And segueing that a little bit, if I could, I want to change the schedule. I know I talked about this before. It just takes a bit to get comfortable. But I want to change the schedule just so I can have more time, really, to be able to do this longer per week. So I'll probably notify you once I figure it out. But my priority one, I don't know how to describe it, but like I think I want to do the 2 times a week. So I'll probably make a post of everything, detail and everything once I figure it out. But for now, I'm thinking of Tuesday and Thursday, probably the same time or maybe an hour earlier. But who knows? As I figure it out. Okay. I think that's about it that I wanted to talk about. Hi guy, how have you been? Just a second. No, feel weird, really weird. I don't know. I just get super flustered whenever there's like someone coming over, and then it's like, oh, I have to do this too. So it's like I don't know whether to be, like woo, or like I gotta be quiet so that they don't hear me talking to myself like this. Cause yeah, that's a little embarrassing to talk like this. There's also construction outside too, and it's not my house, so that's fun. I am delaying just because I'm trying to get ready. Thanks guys. What was I even talking about? Okay. It's probably gone, or probably takes him a bit. AC, air conditioning. Because I guess we have a heater, but our house is so old that they never installed a air conditioning unit. So we're thinking about trying to install one of those. So we're trying to figure out the quotes and everything. I'm figuring that out. Yeah. So that's what's going on. But I think I'll just get back into here, and then we'll figure out what we're doing here. I think I wanted to see if I can delay here a little bit, or like make it a bit longer. Because I think just doing it right here, and I'd like maybe like 3 or 4 frames. Just so it's not like boof boof kind of a thing. So just get a there, blink. Does everyone know what this project is, or is anyone new who hasn't seen what I'm doing? Because otherwise I can help you with that. We can go over that. That's good that this is quiet. I just probably should close the window or something. It's really loud outside. It's awful that it's quiet. I don't have to have too much pressure in. It's like, oh, it's just a couple people. So instead of embarrassing myself in front of like 2 people, that's what it is instead of 10. Okay. Timing over is always going to be a little bit awkward. I don't really even see what exactly happened. Like the real change that I just did. I think I want to also move this frame over. Which means a flower. Let's move over a frame. Like that. Okay. So good there. I don't know, I guess get so plugged into these that it's like, yeah. I don't know what's about me. It's like it's that extreme focus that it's like, oh yeah. Now I'm just practically just narrating what I'm doing. I don't know if it's super entertaining or not. Never know what's entertaining to you guys. Like, oh, you guys are just like, do you want memes? I don't know. You like jazz? I don't know. Yeah, I totally forgot what even happened this week. This was in super focus on one of the projects that I'm doing. And mostly the turnaround of the month has been really fun. Rainbow Road Trip. Oh yeah, thanks. That's actually hopefully relevant for you guys. I don't know. Yeah, I liked it. It was sort of what I expected, which isn't a bad thing. But it was also like, I don't know, I guess I like substance, you know, to these kind of stories and animations, that it's like, well, like deep stories and characters. And it's like, yeah, just kind of didn't really have, it had character development, but it's like very shallow of like, oh, the handy pony was you know, into making things, and like her thing arc kind of finished when she made a thing. Stuff like that, where it's like, oh, okay. Very simplified of everything. Which wasn't bad. I liked the art style and everything, but it seemed very... motion style was clearly different. Kerfuffle. Yeah. Yeah, she was really fun. I'm surprised they didn't, like, you know, shove in, like, oh, what's wrong with your leg? Or, like, is that okay? Like, what happened? They didn't want to even talk about it, which must have been, like, not part of the script at all, to know that that was going to be, like, a character design. So I felt like afterward, they would have added that as a character design rather than in the script phase, because like they never really talked about it. So I thought that was interesting. Yeah, all the designs and everything look really good. That you kind of just get used to them being in these muted tones. That like when they become colors, it's like, oh, it's not quite I imagined it. Okay, scene 2. And I think even Minty talked about the talked about the art style or the motion style between the two, between the real movie and the special, is that they seem to be more. The movie definitely seemed more fluid with more in-betweens. That like every motion kind of went whoop and had everything on like a whoop arc. But with the special, it seemed like a whoop whoop, much faster and like more closer to the their actual show than it being closer to the movie style's version of how it will animate. Yeah. Never seen prosthetics. I think we did see some prosthetics in the, I don't know what to call it, like the real show. The regular show. I think there was a male stallion that had a back leg. I think another one that had Flim Flam. There's another one. I think I was even voiced by a fan. So yeah. And if you count like other people with injuries, like in slings and everything, it's like, does that count? Like Brayburn in its first episode. Ooh, thanks, little Pip. Are you in the stream? I don't know. Thank you. I'm reading your stuff now. Sunny. Hey, Bradley. First on-screen proposal? Oh, yeah, that was really big, too. I didn't think they would go for that, considering, like, how much, they don't want to talk about relationships on the show. They don't want to say, like, ooh, love's a real thing. And I was like, oh, we gotta, like, walk around it. Oh, hi, Lil Pip. You're right in the stream. Thank you. Let's see. Animation better than the actual show. There was a lack of dynamic facial expressions. Dynamic facial expressions would be from the storyboarders. So if obviously it's maybe using a different engine, of course using Toon Boom instead of Flash. What I'm using is Flash. So not that you can't get dynamic facial expressions with Flash, but it's like, or with Toon Boom or any combination. They both can do basically the same thing, so that's what I'm getting at. But it's more into the storyboard, and yeah, that's basically it. If they needed a more dynamic facial expression, they would have storyboarded it. So, and because they were, because the animation was produced by a different company, I think it was Boulder Studio, which made a bunch of some other Crusher Girls shorts. That must have been a part of that too. Those are all the Gen 5 rumors. You can't really got to take all of those with a grain of salt. Unless there's like a whole like Hasbro meeting or anything where they're gonna say that, and I don't believe it till now. committed the head and make it this special. Okay, yeah. Which, you know, they seem to be like the B team, you know, to the A team of DHX. It's even weirder. It's like even the ironic part is that they're still using, both of them should be still using Flash when they were doing like the Crusher Girl shorts. You know, like when you look at a DHX version of the Crusher Girls and then to go to Boulder, it's like they're using the same software, but it's like you can tell that Boulder is more flashy, where it's like it feels more cheaper and like has different kind of more squash and stretch. Usually is what kind of gives it off. It's like, oh, if a character needs to, you know, bounce from somewhere, that they'll have exaggerated. I'm just gonna do it real quick. That they'll have these exaggerated squash and stretch. So that's the squash and then the stretch and then a long settle. I think the one that I probably noticed, probably not first, but like I noticed definitely when Fairly Odd Parents switched to Flash for like the last season or so. And something like this is like, whoa, that's kind of, it's like, whoa, that's not quite how physics and everything kind of works. You know, it's like, you know, compared to like, woo, mine is more stop motion-y, but as soon as it goes, whoa, that's a very different feeling than if they're more like handcrafted, almost on twos for everything. So that's with that kind of feeling of everything, more squatchy and stretchy, feels more like classic Flash, kind of a cartoon. Mm-hmm. Anybody has a comment? No? Okay, cool. Yeah. I think I kind of go back and forth between, well, I definitely have to with the big project I'm working on with Wally Celestia. It's like very trying to make it more like the it's pretty much in show style, so it's like trying to figure out how to reproduce that has been you know, I definitely had a lot of time to figure that out, but it's very tricky. Because you look back at like the season 1 and like you try to go frame by frame, and it's hard to tell like where the keyframes are. It seems like there's like pretty much on twos, whereas everything is hold. There's a change, and then a hold, then a move, and then a hold, and then a move. So it's like, are they really animating on twos, or are they just trying to do like the tweens but then get rid of them? It's like really hard to tell. There's a bunch of like behind the scenes stuff like it, but like where they show like animators working on it, and they don't. I've yet to find an actual timeline of character animation to see whether or not everything is on tweens or if it actually is on twos, and that'd be pretty impressive. Because everything seems to be very, very fluid, so it's hard to know. Technically within that, I don't know what I'm doing in this. Let's figure that out. Okay. But yeah. Like there's a bunch of other shows like that still use Flash. Like I think BoJack Horseman and a bunch of other probably Canadian shows all use Flash. And it's like it's very hard to tell between, you know, like Toon Boom or Flash, really. To say like it's becoming harder to say like, is that Flash or Toon Boom? It's like even like Archer is apparently made in After Effects, but like looks like, you know, like it's like pseudo 3D, so it's like, how are you animating like that? Okay. So next shot, Fluttershy needs to another blink. I don't know, I got used to these kind kind of eventually like find your style of like what you like the most. Like in anything you do, like with art or animation, you just kind of figure out like, oh, I kind of like doing this kind of a style, and it's like, yeah, I like this kind of stop motiony, and it becomes kind of quick to just kind of go woo. You just kind of go whoop whoop whoop, and then it goes whoop whoop. Would I ever switch to Toon Boom? I've considered it many a times. Probably back, maybe like, probably when they announced that the movie would be made in Toon Boom. I was like, oh, that sure sounds like a probably a good time to like figure that out or like look into it, you know, as a thing. And as I've kind of been alluding to, it's like, yeah, it's not super important, because it's basically the same kind of a software. Obviously, there's more flair, I guess, to Toon Boom. And if you don't like Adobe stuff, it's like, yeah, you're not gonna like Flash and try to work with that. It's like, yeah. I've heard like the brush in Flash is like so hard to use that it's like, oh, why would anyone want to use Flash? It's like, look at this beautiful brush. It's like, yeah, I can see that. But then there's also different types of brushes. Like you can get something that looks a little bit weird, but then you can also change it up to be like different styles. Like now it's whatever, these marching ants kind of a line. So it's like, I don't think people know that there are these secret tools, different brush libraries and all these. I was like, yeah, if I wanted to look like an art ink or chalk, I even made my own custom brush for like some projects. It's probably gonna crash, but that's fun. Now if I make another line and beef it up, it's like, yeah, now it has a nice little texture to it. You can see how it's not, you know, like a normal line. It's not smooth. It's like got these little whoopity whoops. So I use that to make it more look like pencil, or maybe kind of like a scratchy bit. So I think, yeah, I use it for like, I think I had a Valentine's video where I used that like on a chalkboard, and it turned out pretty good. But it definitely, my computer was probably not able to use that GPU power to really, you know, take the full force of it. That it probably just blew up my computer really quick after a couple frames of using the whole stream of that. Yeah, I'm doing great. It just takes me a bit to like feel more comfortable, I guess, and having more people. Which I said at the beginning was the opposite. So, oh well. Yeah, it just takes me a bit to get more comfortable to be able to talk. Those things kind of get more quiet and easier to focus and just be able to chill out with you guys. It's really fun. So if you're just coming in or kind of new, I do want to change my streaming schedule. So hopefully by next week I'll have time to figure that out. At least finalize it or figure out what I want to do. Based on your votes, see if I can find my. I made a cute little thing poll. Where is it? So I go to my channel and then community. Hey, look, I'm live. See if I can drag this up, maybe. What would that look like? That's good. So I had this poll about 2 months ago, actually. Said they're limited by time. I usually stream for 1 hour a week. I want to go a bit longer, just so I can do stuff like this and don't feel like I wasted, you know, a stream just doing like one or so things. So apparently about a popular vote was 2 days a week, two times a week for an hour each. So guess we're going with that. My you know, priority, or like my high one that I wanted to do was stream longer in one day, but I think that'll be a bit too tricky. It seems to be a bit easier to actually do it maybe on 2 times, but we'll see. My streaming history has been very wonky. That it's not. I don't really have too many priorities outside. Outside, yeah. So it's just more figuring out really when you guys will be around. So I mean, I could technically do it every day, but it's like, should I do it every day? Eventually my voice is gonna go out probably first. So want to figure that out of what I want to do for that. I know it's been like 2 months, and it's like, oh, I'll figure it out next month, and it's like, okay, yeah, it's been 2 months. So that's just all about that. That's all I have to say about that. Okay, so now I want to have all these little scribbles on my storyboards. Might have solved all that meant, but probably not. That's okay. She looks down. Just get a look at this flower and then say, wow. So we need her to go down and then up. So I'm going to keyframe after it so I can have that. Okay. Wrong one. There we go. If I want to go back on Toon Boom, it's just because I'm using, you know, the Creative Cloud for everything else practically also, that it's like, well, why would I want to, if I'm going to make a whole cartoon that uses Animate, Audition, maybe Photoshop, I'd use Photoshop like one video, and Premiere. It's like, why should I not use the animation software that comes with it and use Toon Boom? And I've also been using it for like 5 years, so it's like, it's not going to give me much more than I need, and I feel like it's going to be even more confusing than trying to figure this out with Flash. So I know that Minty Root and everything kind of, anyone else switched over, but I don't see myself going that route. Just kind of get, you know, used to the layout of everything. That's like, you know, just doing all this is like, yeah, that's kind of what kind of works. It all makes sense. Animated Photoshop. Animated? No, I don't think so. Like make it a timeline in Photoshop. Again, it's like, well, why? It's like, if it's not broken, Flash is fairly broken in some regards, but it's like not. But it definitely give me videos like you've seen. Hopefully they're pretty good, right? So, yeah. I do like experimenting. That's like, yeah, I do want to. You hate it. Yeah, I can see that. It's like, yeah, because it's obviously you don't get any tools really, like cutout animation that I use. This is all cutout where everything's on a different layer. So with Photoshop, you'll be doing everything on pretty much frame by frame. I guess Photoshop might have symbols, but they're not the same kind of flexible symbols that Flash adds. where you can nest things inside and then say, oh, on this frame have it, you know, change to this inner nested frame too. It's like, I don't think Photoshop can do that. I'm pretty sure Toon Boom can do that, but I think it's probably more complicated, or like, it seems like there's more buttons around. Like, it's either there's a bunch of, you know, buttons up here and up here, but it seemed like you had to keep clicking on these different buttons to be able to do basic stuff. So I was like, that kind of turns me off a little bit from Toon Boom. That is like, oh, to do this like slicer thing or like lassos, you have to click a button over on one of these little very like sensitive boxes, you know. It's like, oh, you got to be in this box before you can click on this button to be able to do this action. It's like, no, I just want to have a lasso. It's like, oh, it's L, whoop, there's lasso. You know, it's like, I'm sure like some things have, probably most of the basic stuff like in the toolbars at top probably has a bunch of keyboard stuff, but it's like, a lot of it is probably not going to be super simple like that. So it's like, I'm not really too keen on that. I know it just looks really weird with all the storyboards on top. There we go. What have you always do? Done frame by frame. That's cool. Sound practical and user friendly. Wasn't made for animation at all. Yes, that is a feature. I think I might have animated something in Photoshop where I made like a sequence for like, must have tried, I think I tried to make a GIF or something, like some kind of a logo or some kind of short GIF thing, and I made it into Photoshop and made them in different frames. Because I think, yeah, probably like in 2013 or something or so, I saw a video of like, hey, YouTube has a new feature where you can have an animated logo or banner. So like you go to a channel and like your username profile might be animated, or like maybe your banner, like your channel art, would be some kind of a looping thing. And I was like, wow, that's cool. How do I do that? And then like the whole tutorial was in Photoshop. I was like, oh, okay, I can do that too. I have Photoshop. So you get all the way through it and go, oh, to actually be able to use that, it's like, it has to be some, maybe verified or something. Like you have to have way too many subscribers and have it be in a beta version of it. And it's like, oh, you know, back then I was like, only had like 100 or less subscribers. So it's like, yeah. So that was upsetting. I was like, I worked probably like a whole afternoon trying to figure out like how to do this Photoshop like GIF thing of like, oh, I want this banner and it's gonna be really cool and it's gonna have these effects and stuff. It's like basically what, you know, at top has a bunch of bubbles floating around. And it's like, yeah, I can have that as a looping thing and go, yeah. So something like that where it's like, yeah. I think it's probably the only use that I probably used the animation thing. It's like, yeah, it's very, very weird of how to use it. And more time. More time. Yeah. So I think the other project that I used Photoshop was the Derpy Anime OP, where I think I made practically all the backgrounds in Photoshop, just because I had those more complicated brushes and more painterly, you know, hand painted kind of style brushes that I wanted to make it look like it was hand drawn, like an anime background. And I knew that it would be way easier or more experimental to try it with Photoshop. So, yeah, I think it worked out pretty good, but I think I probably would have wanted to use more different variations of brushes instead of like using a pretty much default kind of a brush for that. So I guess now you can look at that again and go, oh yeah, has a different feel than the animation. This is maybe a different program. Okay, so now she's gonna point out that she wants a flower. And she wants that flower. Oh yeah, so the leg has different frames like everything else. So inside of it, I have different frames of it kind of bending, and then I'm choosing a different frame to show while it's animating. Same with the mouth and a bunch of other stuff, like the eyelashes are on a loop, where inside of it has a couple frames of it closed and then opening, and then I set it to loop over here, and then it'll just keep going and playing that animation over and over, and then it'll keep blinking. So stuff like that is like, yeah, you can frame by frame. It's like, oh, I'm gonna lose a lot of features like that, just because of the power of all these symbols that I'm using. Right. So, boop. It's over here. And then more subtle. So, whoop. I think that's a bit much. I think here is a little bit weird. Let's see. How are we doing? 2.3. So this needs to be 2.4. And this is 3.5. Okay. Probably the leg can also be animated more. I want it to pop up, but it's like, yeah, it's. So I think if it has maybe like one of these. Just trying to make this smoother. It kind of messes up at the end. Problem is trying to adjust things smallly instead of biggerly. Is that you have to really zoom in, but then you can't see much of the overallness. So it's like, bleh. Okay. Oh, I just thought of for these future streams, what would you like to see? Like, obviously I could just keep doing what we've been doing, but if you want to see like more, maybe like something more experimental, like something I've never done, maybe like a challenge or something. Like I tried that other one, that challenge of like trying to use a different animation software while doing it right-handed or something, and doing frame by frame, which were like 3 things like I don't want to do. So I don't know if we're like into that. I know a bunch of challenges are like very YouTuber-y things that is like, ooh, is that hot? I don't know. There's just too market already. There we already too much there. That is like, what am I doing? Like, if I'm not going to be better at it, it's like, what the point? Next thing there, Bob Ross stream. Yeah, those were fun. I like the very differencing panicness of, you know, watching Bob, like, you know, nicely painting while I'm like freaking out. Yeah, those were fun. Have to be careful about, not to be a downer, but it's like, oh, copyright. It's like, oh, that might get into it, maybe. I just know, like, I get a bunch of, you know what? I actually have a story. I had, YouTube gave me a nicely worded email saying, hey, the music you used in this video that you made about 3 or 4 years ago, I had to look, it's copyrighted. Why didn't they say it? You know, usually it takes like 4 seconds for them to say, that's a song, get out of here. But somehow I eluded them so much that it took them 3 or 4 years before they said, oh, whoops, that's owned by someone, and I guess. So I'll have to see exactly when. I think it was like a Daring Do video. I'll get back to this. I got a new email. Let's look at YouTube. What was it? There's a lot here for YouTube. Creators. Oh yeah, it's this one. Okay. I'll read it out. Dear me, copyright order using copyright ID claims some material in your video. This is not a copyright strike. This claim does not affect your account status. Oh yeah, this was the ironic part. It's like somehow, in my pony's Mother's Day from 20 something. Let me look up what that is now. Doing this off screen, but it's not much else really to show. I'm just looking through my videos now. Pony's Mother's Day. There it is. 6 years ago, apparently. Just keep in mind. Yeah, 2013. So apparently in this video, in 2013, I made a video, Pony's Mother's Day. In 8 days ago, YouTube gave me copyright ID for using, I must have used DNU, I don't know what that is, My Little Pony Friendship's Magic 2010, active full soundtrack, season 1, episode 26, claimed by Hasbro Music. So, I know that other people get like way more severe YouTube stuff, but it's like, it's like, oh, I used this song from the show, and it took him 6 years to go, oh yeah, that's our song. So, I must have been making, definitely not bank on it. It was just really bad video. That was from 6 years ago. It's like not gonna perform as well as I would ever hope today. That it just didn't somehow fled through. Even though I didn't add any sound effects, and I think that maybe because it's the compression or something, like the only way I can think of, like maybe it's the actual quality of the sound was so bad because I didn't export it right, or lossless audio, I don't know if that's a thing, that it just went through for so long. That's just so weird that it went for that long without being noticed. I've never received any other bigger strikes, so obviously because all my stuff is original, so it's all okay there. I didn't worry about that, but it's yeah, that was a big shock. I was like, okay. Obviously, whenever I do like a video that is a music video, like a Weird Al or something, probably recently, semi-recently, more recently, it would get flagged like practically immediately. So this is just another like, oh, okay, well, I guess we're doing that then. Kind of a thing. It's like, okay, now I won't get my, you know, 0.1 of a cent out of this video now that I'll probably ever make because it's so old and no one watches it. But yeah, I've had other videos like that. Oh, got a comment. Didn't see it. Just do a stream where you draw alongside Bill Colony, artist and cartoonist earlier. Oh, is that the guy? Oh, sick. Who drew the Naruto? Totally. I could do more of that. He's got a billion videos. Or the other guy. Not Mark Curley, but like something else where it's like he had another. He draws a bunch of anime, but like he doesn't draw them well. And he passes off as like, oh yeah, I drew a chibi. Like another guy who does our videos totally blank. He made a bunch of. Well, I'm just describing Mark Curley now. He made a bunch of like manga stuff. He drew a manga. Or did he? Maybe like a bunch of how to draw books. Yeah. I'm trying to remember that as Bill Connolly. Can't even say it. This is where Discord starts to get upset. So we can do that. So we can just kind of start leaning them over. Yeah, I'd like to hear from anyone else, like what kind of videos you like to see or streams you like to see. Because I think with the new format we can try, I think that'll open up some more possibilities. A couple of you guys are watching it. Obviously, yeah, anything that I've probably already done, I can do again. But I don't know if you guys like watching animation streams, because it's definitely probably the longest form of creating art is making these. So, you know, it's more than you have to practically draw everything and then move everything very, very slowly. So the entertainment value is very niche. Oh, Bradley, you liked a bunch of videos. Great. Yeah, I just wasn't sure. Because obviously, like, you guys are watching it, so that's not the way that I want to add the keyframes. I did it the tween way instead of the stop motion-y way. Like the animation stream during the idea phase. Yeah, those are probably the most. Yeah, I was thinking like those are more entertaining. I assume. It's creating the idea, and then it's like, oh, we can all kind of collaborate, and then it's like, oh, we have to make that now. Let me spend 5 hours or more slowly moving each bit of this into position and going, is that flow right? Does that have secondary animation? Is that squash and stretch? Is that a peel? Is that have good arc? Doesn't. Whoop, whoop. Does it need more keyframes? I don't know. Okay. After that become good background noise. I don't feel like I'm good background noise. But I appreciate that. It's more fun when we're discussing something more than just me narrating and going, oh yeah, I need a keyframe. Like a medic. Okay. So this is where he goes, oh. Maybe she doesn't want the flower. Let's see what we got. I don't like where this is going. Okay. I have a lot of these. 19, I guess. I'll also click here. Let's see what we got. Got this keyframe caddy. Well, actually, it's frame picker. That's part of Flash. Boop. There we go. Boop, boop, boop. What kind of episodes do you want to see before the show ends? That's a good question. Great question. Honestly, I don't know. It's like, you know, my favorite episodes are probably. It's weird because I'm creating my own fan fictions that kind of substitute like what I would want to see in the show. So basically, like everything that I made in this Derpy series has been like what I want to see in the show. So any kind of reference to Derpy in the show is like, oh, did I help with that? You know, it's like, ooh, it's like, you know, am I contributing to this in any way? So stuff like that where it's like, oh, I can, you know, create these little fun stories and everything. I like being out of canon, out of the realm of like, you know, oh, it's got to be, you know, I think I did the wrong one. Out of canon where it doesn't matter that characters and everything are different, or like I don't have, you know, any regulation on my videos either. Not that I really need them, but like, you know, not terms and service, but like any other word to like censoring, you know, ideas. Hear about that a lot when they're making the show. I was like, oh yeah, we can't have dangerous acts or scary things and try to tone down things. So it's like, yeah, I don't really have that, but it's like I'm always trying to think of like what would fit, you know, like when I made that robot one, this is last month. I tried to design it where it possibly could fit in a show. Obviously, it's probably not. It's probably too basic, or doesn't have all the fancy, you know, the shapes where whatever where it's more whoopity whoops kind of a shapes and all these different designs on it. But if it's like a basic, you know, flat colors design of it, I tried to design it where it could work as a story thing, as an operational thing, and looked good. So I'm trying to put that all together and trying to design something like that. That was really fun. And trying to make it pretty much the same technology as what the show would use, where it would be, they wouldn't use you know, electricity and like very anything higher tech than Stone Age kind of a stuff, where everything's very steam based. Like they looked at the show and say like, what's the highest technology that they have, and it's like I looked at Pinky Keen with the Twilight, trying to use pretty much like a lie detector kind of machine to see how her scents work, and it's like I was using like steam power. It's like, okay, guess we're going with that. So I just gotta add like a cogwheel and like add some steam coming out, and it's like, yeah, that's gonna work. Have you ever considered making a funny animation? Was it comedic or cutesy? I think it's just kind of the vibe that I usually have anyway. So in and out is like I'm not really having really too many deep feels really. It's not really my speed. It's definitely more fun to work on something that is fun in QC for over a month, you know, day for day, than something that's something sad, working on that for a month. So, I feel like I would probably just break down and just go, oh man, this is too sad. And it's just like, I can't work on this. Kind of a feel. So, I feel like that's pretty good. So, this kind of stories I want to tell. It's like I don't want someone to like open a video and go, oh well, now I'm really sad after this. I don't want people to feel like that. So always got to do something upbeat and fun. It's kind of stories I want to tell. I mean, all my inspirations are from, you know, 90s cartoons, so it's like, yeah, they're not very dramatic in those, like in SpongeBob or all those. Couldn't think of anything else. Like Rugrats sometimes get dramatic, but it's not like the main hook of Rugrats is that you're gonna feel sad after watching it. So. Maybe as an what was it? If I want to experimental, kind of a short that had some feels, maybe, but I don't feel like Pony would have the right feel to it, to have be dramatic or sad. So. There's definitely sad moments in the show, but it's like not gonna be what you're gonna come out of it and go, wow, I watched My Little Pony and I cried. I'm gonna watch it again to cry again. It's like that. It's not gonna happen. So, yeah. But all the shorts and other short films that are made by the Pony community that are dramatic and sad, like those are really good. I do appreciate it, but like it's pretty good for like a, you know, 5 or 10 minutes. But then it's like, yeah, it never feels like, oh, this could be in the show. It's like, oh yeah, this is just using the motif of Pony to tell a story that happens to be like, oh, if Luna was in this position, then if we had to tell that story, and maybe she would feel sad, but it's like not going to be portrayed in a show like that as much, I guess. Let's see, putting our markets do that in their shift towards less comedic storylines. Modern cartoons, and if you have an example, maybe I can talk about that. I honestly can't think of too many modern cartoons. Like if they have like more anime continuing stories or something like that. Ooh, that was special. I can't read it. Is that Guts? Thank you. This has been pretty good. Pretty good stream so far. Let's see. We're gonna go whoop, 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 whoop. I think I want to have a blink here. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. Let me see. What I have? Which one is the one that blink? Show me the blink. Show me the blink. Show me the blink. It says blink. That's blink. Hold it. Nope. Hold it. French Time Steven Universe. Oh, okay. Yeah, I was thinking when you said modern, it's like something that came out like a week ago. It's like, oh, I can't think of any cartoons newer than that. With more focus on character development. Yeah, I was actually thinking of like Steven Universe because I've watched more Steven Universe than Adventure Time. So yeah, I definitely thought about that. That's like, yeah, they have more character development than yeah, you said in feels. I don't think it's the shift of it is very, very interesting. It feels more, because obviously there's very sort of defined generations of cartoons. That's like, oh, like definitely in the 80s, a cartoon meant selling the toy, and then 90s was more, let's have creators create ideas, you know, for their own creativeness, like Ren and Stimpy. You know, like stuff like that where it's like merchandise was like second, but like the first was making cartoons, and now we're getting into 2000s where it's like, oh, we're getting really more edgy and getting more cartoons with substance and like longer storylines, and then the 2010s is more having more power to the creator, even more than in the 90s where it's interesting where it's like, yeah, Steven Universe, it's just having way more creative control than what it's definitely piggybacking on like the 90s kind of a feel where you're telling a story but you're able to also do it in a longer format like the 2000s cartoons, so it's like much more like a generation kind of a jump to just like we're evolving into these bigger like cartoons are becoming more mainstream. Definitely Simpsons helped that is like in Flintstones where it's like let's put cartoons front and center on prime time. That definitely helped, and then having the longer stories and then having creators pretty much making like, you know, it's like watching a video of like how King of Hell, you know, King of Hell couldn't really be in live action. Like why it was animated is because they talked about like, yeah, these storylines, you know, really couldn't, because they have such a big scope and like they had to explode things and other little small stuff. Is like it would have been way easier to just make it into a cartoon. So it's like stuff like that where it's like, yeah, you can. You pretty much do have to make a bunch of these into cartoons. Like now it's becoming, it's always been a different medium, but it's becoming its own like format pretty much. That's like you can have a bigger storyline, pretty much like a live action show, but with animation. I think we're able to get into a point now where like it pretty much happened where these cartoons can stand as much as a live action show, where, you know, looking back in like the 70s is like the 70s and 80s where it's like, oh, what you watching? Oh, Flintstones. Is like, oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, let's let's all watch that. Hey, you want to watch the snorkels? No. So stuff like that where everything that I said, I think is my opinion on that. I think we're pretty good. I haven't animated Rose, but I think we're running close on time. I just want to do this for an hour a week, which doesn't really go too well when I kind of get onto these strings now. I'll just animate it real quick, or let's see what we got. What do we got here? I think it was a duplicator. Do 2. Yeah, the snorkels. They were great. Were they Japanese? I think so. They were like the underwater Smurfs, if you don't know. Smurfs were also good. But yeah, it's like, then it's like the whole thing of like, oh, well, if they're so cool, why don't we just make live action versions of the cartoons? That's a whole nother topic where it's like, oh, that never works. Like, look at Lion King now. It's like everyone's saying it's live action, even though probably like 99.9% is animation. I'm sure like only the credits, you know, are just visual effects, or like not, you know, the cartoon. So that's always been like a misnomer. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it's like it's so falsified to call it live action Lion King as live action. It's like it's not. So I don't know what their marketing says. Like, should it be marketed as live action just because of? Does that mean it gets better sales, like better box office, you know, sales of it? Then if you say like, oh, this is animation that looks hyper realistic, it's like a little bit harder to explain, even though it's really not. Like, you just say it like that. It's hyper real animation. So it's like it's not tricky to say. Like we got so many like information at our fingertips that it's like, yeah, we could just be able to just say anything, and be able to understand it, then just hoping that, you know, people won't. Maybe just afraid that people won't be able to understand that what they're watching is actually animation, then just saying like, oh, it's live action because you know what that means, but it's it's just 3D animation that looks really good. I have not watched much of the Disney live actions. I think just the Beauty and the Beast one was like on TV, like one night, and we're like, might as well. It's like, it's definitely not the worst thing I've seen, but it's like, yeah, it's I can see like why critics and people would say like, oh, that's it's not too good. It's trying to compare like apples and oranges almost, but it's like an apple to like a digitally altered, genetically modified apple. You know, it's like, oh, they're both apples, but it's like this one's in a different dimension. So, yeah. And I probably should be cutting this off, but I think conversation is pretty good. Yeah, so I haven't seen any of the other live action ones, or live action. So I probably won't watch the Lion King one, just because I love the original so much that it's like it's got a tainted, you know, with its reputation, especially if it's not good. It's like gonna be so bad if it turns out bad, and it's like, oh, like our future generation is supposed to like think like, oh, Lion King. Do you mean the 2019 version? It's like, who's gonna ever like want to talk about it? I just don't understand. Like, I mean, they're Disney, so it's like, oh, what they gonna do? They're gonna, you know, come up with new ideas, even though they have a whole company that has ideas potentially for great ideas in movies, but they're just like, oh, let's spend way too many years remaking a bunch of them. I don't know if it's, yeah, I don't know if it's like everything comes out like a money thing, but it's like it's just so weird to be able to do this. Yeah, there's just like no point. It's like they made all those, you know, direct-to-video, like Beauty and the Beast 2 or Little Mermaid 2, you know, all those. It's like, yeah, they expanded on the story, respected it for the most part, and then told a totally different, expanded, like what will happen next story. And I thought those were, I didn't really watch too many of them, but like they seem in concept very, very good. At least better idea than these live action versions. I don't know. Once you get like the Smurfs, you know, live action, it's like if that's gonna be the benchmark for like all these other studios, it's like it's not gonna be good. I watched like the Yogi Bear live action. Oh, I watched the Woody Woodpecker live action. I think I got like 10 or 15 minutes in, and I was watching with my dad, and it was just like, oh, I figured out the entire storyline. I know he's the villain, he's the kid, and it's like they're gonna become best friends, and then Woody's just gonna make more jokes that aren't funny for another hour and a half. You gonna watch the rest of it? No? Yeah, okay. So we just stopped. And it's like probably the first movie where it's like, yeah, I actually could not watch the rest of it, so I don't know what's gonna happen. But it's like I have a very good idea. But a couple movies I kind of fell asleep to. I fell asleep during Rogue One, Star Wars movie. I think I just watched the Emoji movie the same day, so I was pretty tired after that. Exciting Emoji movie, which I thought was actually better than Rogue One. So don't take all of my, you know, critiques for heart. If I like the Emoji movie. Sonic movie, definitely. Notice articles where it's like, ooh, check out how they redesigned the Sonic, and then you like read the article, it's like, this fan, it's like, oh, okay, just close. It's like, okay, it's not official, I don't care. Like, I want to see the official version of what they're gonna do. Right, going to bed. Definitely. I'm just not a super, like, you know, super Sonic or Star Wars fan. So you're able to care too much. I definitely watched all the movies, but it's definitely not one of my top series. Like, they're good, but I don't want to watch. Definitely not the. What is like other series where it's like, oh, we gotta do the Clone Wars or something like. I never got into like the other spin-offs and expanded universe like at all. I've heard now they're gonna make a newer version for Disney Plus, so we'll see if that's any good. But Disney Plus is a whole nother thing. How many are you guys gonna get Disney Plus? The Disney streaming service? I don't know. I think I'll probably wait till they have movies. Because it seemed like right now they're gonna launch with like maybe like 10 or so movies, and then not really have much really to go off of that. I don't know. It seemed like the launch lineup of that was going to be pretty rough. I heard they're doing a Lady and a Tramp remake, so I was like, oh, it's going to be one of those, huh? No. Yeah. Rid of Netflix. Well, it seemed like they're going to get rid of the Disney movies on Netflix, so if you wanted to watch a Disney movie for whatever reason, that'd be the only place, so that's how they're getting the monopoly on that. is that they know that you want to watch Disney movies, and then you gotta get the Disney Plus to be able to watch them now. Like, they're not gonna be even available on like Hulu or anything. They're gonna get rid of that. It's like they're rid of a monopoly. It's like, why should I already keep going with it? Like, they bought, you know, 20th century Fox. So it's like, yeah, they're gonna, like, they already own like ESPN, like other things that don't really make sense. Like, okay, you already have ABC and all that. It's like, yeah, you're you're good, right? It's like, no, need more. Monopolies are very, obviously very bad that they have no competition, then you'll have no competitors like a DreamWorks. Or wouldn't have Shrek, and that'd be a bad timeline. Oh yeah. That's awkward. Okay. Probably have to clean it up, but I think I'm way overshooting my time, and I think everyone left. So, for everyone who's still here, probably just Cookie. Thank you for watching. I'm wrapping up, figuring out what I want to do. Okay. So what do we have so far? Let me just watch that. Okay, that needs more time there, but you get the point. I'm just gonna be dropping it. Just gonna get the flower, and that's gonna be discorded with an eye on it. Collapse and then changes it. We'll figure it out. Anyway, we got pretty good progress on that one, but I definitely talked a lot that I kind of stopped my momentum. Yeah. Yeah. Well, if there's anyone, I'm glad it's you, Cookie. You're really good at commenting. But yeah, I think I overstayed my welcome a little bit than I usually do. So I'll find out where to do the button. So I'll probably just quickly say goodbye. So thank you again. And I'll find out my new schedule. But if you're watching in the future, don't worry. It already happened. But for present people, good luck. I'll see if you guys are able to join or not. Hopefully with the 2-day, then there'll be like twice as much time to catch me then. So we'll see. I could do 3, but I think it's probably pushing it. So anyway, yeah, see ya.